What is going on? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing day 2 of our 3-round mock draft. So yes, round 2 and 3 is going to be combined into this one, just like the NFL draft. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. We are on the way to 10K. If you haven't seen round 1, feel free to check that out. We'll do a quick little recap right here, just so we understand where we're at with all the trades and such. Let's get into this. Below my face is my board. Below that is other ways to get involved in the community, as well as take advantage of our sponsors. Links are also in the description. Have to say this right now, Umanmielen is not coming out in this specific mock draft. At this moment, it is not confirmed. I assume somebody who should be a top 3 pick is not going to be coming out. That's just my thing. Just my thing. It's not confirmed. It is a heavy hunch. It makes it more realistic by not drafting players that I assume are, not coming out. And, making it more difficult on myself kind of makes it easier in the long run. Also, we're not having Shedeur Sanders, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, and and Jalen Milroe coming out of this. They are not coming out. So, not confirmed, just a hunch at the moment. Of course, things may change. This is going to be recorded as of 5:36 on the 5th of December, Central Time. So, if anything happens overnight or on the next day, then we will be able to adjust next week. So very excited for that. Honestly, I'm super stoked to see who's actually returning versus who's coming out. We've already had quite a few declarations from some big players, so a lot to love. But there's a lot of nerve-wracking stuff when it comes to some of these players, like Cam Kinchins, who could end up returning, but of course James Williams just decided to come out. There's a lot to discuss. So let's get right into this. This is going to be an hour plus video guaranteed because we have almost 70 selections. Let's get into this. Pick number 33 for the Carolina Panthers. Wide receivers where they need to rock. Troy Franklin's a really good weapon. That's definitely the place where I would be first looking. I want to look at the tackle class. Graham Barton, man, there's no actual tackles here. For me, I'd be looking to get a true left tackle. Again, I described in the start of the video, we are not including Umanmielen in this mock draft. So we're out of luck on the actual starting left tackles. Again, Graham Barton, most likely going to be an interior offensive lineman. So looking at the players available, I actually want to put some respect on Jalen Pollock, Brian Thomas, and Troy Franklin's name. Johnny Wilson, I think, actually might be the best weapon available. He is my number 12 player. I know I am absurdly high on him, and I am not expecting anybody else to have remotely the same opinion. He has some drop issues. Granted, it's his lowest drop year in terms of percentage, so at least there's that caveat, but still above 10%, which is not good. This team could be looking for someone who is that jump ball threat, and at this point, I think Johnny Wilson's worth taking. He could eventually end up being an X build. He's 240 pounds at 6'7". Not many guys could physically match up to him. He's a great blocker. I got to see him in person play us in high school because Oaks Christian played there at Calabasas. So very intriguing. There's a lot of rivalries with that stuff too. So always fun to be able to trace this back even like 7 or 8 years ago. At pick number 34 for the New England Patriots, we started off this draft by selecting Drake Maye because Caleb Williams went to the Bears. Forgot to do a quick little recap. Sorry, y'all. By the way, so we ended up sending Justin to, why do I want to say Arizona? I see a bird in my mind. The Atlanta Falcons. Had to trade up here with the Bears. Las Vegas traded up for Jayden Daniels. And then looking for any other trades, we also had a big trade up here. The Jaguars moved with the Denver Broncos to select Rome Odunze. The Seahawks moved back with the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions got Kool-Aid McKinstry. Any other trades of note? Yes, the final 3 selections were all traded. Baltimore traded back with Washington to select Braylon Trice. Miami also traded back with Washington so they could select Chop Robinson. And then Philadelphia traded up with Philadelphia traded back with Arizona to select Tavondre Sweat. So we're back. Apologies about that. Little slip up, but we're back. I think weapon or offensive line is what the Patriots need to do. I already discussed it. Offensive line, you're not seeing legit tackles. You want to go Tyler Guyton? There's an argument for that. But I do believe that, at this point, the bigger need is going to be a receiver. Brian Thomas could be a really, really big addition on this team. 6'4", 205 pounds, really good deep threat. I love Troy Franklin. At the same time, I don't want to have a receiving core that is necessarily as thin as having Tyquan Thornton, Troy Franklin. Like, for me, those guys being my future primary wide receivers, it does scare me. I want someone with a little bit more size. Jalen Polk's in that equation as well. I'd personally transfer if I were Jalen and be a first-round pick in the next year. Similar thing with Brian Thomas, so we'll see what happens there, but we're going to go Brian Thomas here. He actually does pop off on tape. I was actually watching some LSU tape very recently, and it was like, he does pop off. He does. He's a very good player. I need to get an official grade on him ASAP. Pick number 35 for the Philadelphia Eagles. So this team is ideal for Tyler Guyton. Another player that I doubt comes out. It was his first year starting, and he ended up actually, I think, getting benched in his final game. But unreal potential as a right tackle. And this team will be potentially needing him within the next year or two. Lane Johnson is best friends with Jason Kelce, and Jason Kelce is most likely going to be retiring. Therefore, there's a pretty quick ticking time bomb there on that right tackle position. There's not a contingency plan in place. The Eagles draft a year ahead of when we think they should, and the fact that we're not really thinking they should means they most likely will. Tyler Guyton's going to be my selection here out of Oklahoma. I know edge rusher is a position I could totally go after, but the tackle position is so thin, and Tyler Guyton actually could be a legitimate starter in the NFL with a year's time with Jeff Stoutland. At pick number 36 for the Baltimore Ravens, I could look at actually offensive line here with Graham Barton just to have someone who's super versatile. Other positions of note, could go JT Tuimoloau at this point. I do like JT. I like sending him at the end of the first to the Eagles. There's another big selection there that I could have done. But, I mean, this team, I could go Troy Franklin here. You're looking for separators and guys who are good after the catch. Jalen Polk looks great in purple. You can't go wrong with either one. I'll include Jalen Polk just because I haven't seen his name in the transfer portal just yet. A lot of guys are very quick to put their name in the transfer portal. And I'm going to go with Jalen Polk. His quarterback's coming out. Maybe he's like, I'm happy being a round 2 wide receiver or an early second round or a late first guy. I think the Ravens kind of are missing a player like this. He is 6'2". What is he, 204 pounds? 6'2", 204. Super young. Definitely could transfer, but very good after the catch. That's what I like. And I think Baltimore is trying to get more guys when you get the ball in their hands. They're great after the catch. You're basically going to be using him to replace OBJ. And he does have that dog in him. He does. So we're going to be going Jalen Polk here, keeping him in purple there in Baltimore. At pick number 37 for the Miami Dolphins. Oh, I already know. I already irritated my Dolphins fans by probably moving out. Y'all have a particular irritation when it comes to me moving out of the first round. But I do believe that a second safety is not a bad idea with Cam Kinchens on the board. Super high value. Like, it's incredible. It probably should return to school, but it's almost too good to pass on at this point. I don't trust the offensive linemen again just because of the fact that they're going to be interior guys. So I'm actually going to opt for Cam Kinchens. Having a second safety there in a Vic Fangio system that is extremely high end, you're essentially covering half of the field each. And Javon Holland's incredible. Why not be able to steal another elite safety in round number 2 here with Cam Kinchens? Pick number 38 for the Green Bay Packers. We ended up selecting Cooper DeJean in round number 1. Again, another spot where it's like, hey, you could have waited and gotten Tyler Nubin. I get it. It is a logical argument to get kind of mad about that. In my last mock draft, I ended up selecting a guard for you guys in Troy Fautanu, who has tackle upside. But I keep forgetting about Sean Ryan being a potential guard for you, and he should be getting more reps. It is a little bit infuriating, to be completely honest, just knowing, because I really like Sean Ryan as a guard, and he's not being used. So hopefully y'all get your act together and start doing that. The defensive line is fine. This is honestly a great opportunity to trade out. Wide receiver-wise, I could see them trying to add maybe another weapon in the meantime, but this team needs tackles. Could end up taking Karan Amajaje because he's a super athletic tackle, but you'd be basically waiting a year and having Rashid start anyways. So why not just kind of wait? So I'm going to actually have this pick traded. because there's a player on the board that I think needs to go off the board. And that team that's trading up is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are going to be trading their 41st overall pick. This is a super small range trade. I assume it will only take roughly pick 133 to make this move. Again, it's not going to be that third round pick to move up 3 spots. So feel free to do your own negotiating. Again, it's not going to change the outcome of this. So we are going to be trading the Philadelphia Eagles picks number 41 and 133 to the Green Bay Packers to move up to 38 to then select JT Tuimoloau out of the Ohio State University. Again, someone who I really like to take at the end of the first. But now these are 2 of the larger needed positions for a year plus in advance. JT Tuimoloau is going to basically be the future of the 265 plus behind Josh Sweat. And Tyler Guyton is going to be the future at right tackle. At pick number 39 for the New York Giants, JT Tuimoloau most likely would have been my selection here. So RIP to that idea. But the Giants ended up staying put and selecting Bo Nix. I think wide receiver is still a position we need to target. Double checking we got Bo Nix. I'm going to go Troy Franklin. I did this in my last mock draft, and I'm going to do it again here. I love pairing them up. They have a great connection. If you don't want him to be a check down Charlie, have him be a big playmaker with someone who he has chemistry with. That's going to be Troy Franklin right there. Adds another deep threat element. I talked about not wanting my receiving core to be thin with the Patriots, hence why I ended up going Brian Thomas for him. At this point, I'm kind of willing to massage that out. Oh, that sounded like a very Deshaun Watson thing to say. But I'm willing to work things out with Troy Franklin and Jalen Hyatt just because of the fact that you have that instant connection. At pick number 40 for the Tennessee Titans. Another team that honestly Troy Franklin would have been a very good get for. Looking at the options available, we already went a right tackle in J.C. Latham. Could look, honestly, at Kuran Amajaje to be the future at left tackle. They do have time. Like, that is kind of a bonus of having your quarterback in the future, because I do believe Will Levis is that. You could look at Tyler Nubin and be like, that's incredible value. Could say, hey, we want to add some defensive interior help with some Leonard Taylor goodness here. It's pretty ballsy, but, it is what it is. We have some great defensive interiors on the board, but we also have some very good corners on the board. And I personally would love to see Kamari Lassiter or Denzel Burke on this squad. I have Denzel Burke as a top 20 player in the class, and this team does need some help on the boundary for the future. So we're going to go Denzel Burke here out of the Ohio State University. My number 4 corner now? Big fan of Dwight. Or not Dwight. Well, I am a big fan of Dwight McLaughlin, but big fan of Denzel. At pick number 41, we're back with the Packers. We're back. This time, I could see them actually opting for a defensive interior like Chris Jenkins. I might want to trade back once more because there should be a team that is getting fairly aggressive. And I'm looking at the Raiders right here. It would be almost a perfect pick for the Raiders to, I know they've already used some of the draft capital moving up, but to select a high-end defensive interior player, kind of hard to pass on that in the meantime. Looking at other teams that could be in the mood, I could see the Texans getting really aggressive here. For Green Bay, I just don't see the value. I just don't. I'm going to get aggressive with the Texans. I want to double check. We got Dallas Turner. Yeah, we're going to get aggressive. I think that the Texans are a very competitive team. I know that they could maybe use a wide receiver here, maybe a tight end here, but you also have a lot of money. And I feel like you could exercise your money properly in order to, manipulate the team enough. You need to get the best value at this point. I assume 2/4 will be able to get it through. I mean, for the Packers, maybe I would honestly just want a future third, looking at the amount of draft capital we have this year. And for the Texans, I'd be willing to give this up. Move up all these spots. Again, you can do your own negotiating. At the end of the day, the mock draft ends after this video. We're going to select Chris Jenkins here out of Michigan. Defensive interior is a massive need. Chris Jenkins is an excellent player. So you're going to be able to get a run stuffer, also pass rush upside there, above 300 pounds. Him, Will Anderson, add in Dallas Turner. You're having arguably one of the best, if not the best, defensive lines in the league. At pick number 42 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we ended up not getting a quarterback and actually selecting Brock Bowers in the first. Looking at the quarterbacks that are still available, it would be Spencer Rattler, Jordan Travis, Joe Milton. Michael Pratt is in there as well. None of them are worth it at this pick. I love Joe Milton, but that's going to be a third round issue for me. So what I want to do at this point, I could get Graham Barton because his value is incredible and have him just be a very versatile offensive lineman. That might be the best choice. Tyler Nubin, you could get some extra DB depth with another Minnesota DB because he should be going way earlier. I do have him. Where do I have him? He is number 37 on my board. So I am a pretty huge fan of him. Again, Amarius Mims is returning in this. Otherwise, he would have been gone by, I think, 13. So other options, you could go Karan and develop him because he can start year one. He has a quad injury. It's why he's not going to go in this range. The quarterback's not good. We already got our super weapon. Let's get offensive line. Let's go Graham Barton here. We're going to find a role for him. In the second round, we went after an offensive lineman last year. We're going to do the same thing this year. At pick number 43, broke my heart, but the Raiders lost out on Chris Jenkins. I just don't know if they would have ended up spending that draft capital to move up. However, I think Leonard Taylor is a nice consolation prize, a super high upside pass rusher from the defensive interior spot. You've been doing a great job sniping them down the line with Nesta Jade Silvera, who I'm a huge fan of. Like the past couple of years, you've been able to snipe some dudes from the Senior Bowl who I like a lot. Granted, you kind of cut some of them, which is a bummer, but Leonard Taylor, the potential is too good. Right now, we're playing the long game with Tyree Wilson. You can play the long game with Leonard Taylor too. At pick number 44, I'm having a hard time saying no to Tyler Nubin here for the Chargers, but corner 2 is probably a bigger need than a safety. And you got Kamari Lassiter here. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We got to take the man out of Georgia who's going to be running probably in the 4.2s. At pick number 45 for the Cincinnati Bengals, we ended up selecting, want to double check, Talise Fuaga. Wow. One of my favorite players. They're in the first round. That's how you know I'm not a complete Steelers homer. I will give my favorite player, arguably in the draft, to a division rival. Like, you just got to do what you got to do. So for the Bengals, I think potentially going after a wide receiver to play in the slot like Xavier Worthy could be, no pun intended, worth it at this point. You could also probably try to opt for Jatavian Sanders. And I feel like that's a smart move. He can technically also play slot because he is a pretty nifty receiver. And this is just a good range for him to go. You know, tight end is a massive hole in this team. Like Drew Sample, Hudson, like, come on. Let's be real here. We're going to go Jatavian Sanders. At pick number 46 for the Buffalo Bills, they went after double checking. Pretty sure it's Malik Neighbors. Hello. So with Malik Neighbors off the board, we are going Tyler Nubin, who is the dream selection here for him. Safety might just be an extremely undervalued position by the NFL, and that's the only reason why, with their great talent, they end up here. At pick number 47, another team that could have really used Tyler Nubin, we have the New Orleans Saints, who ended up selecting a quarterback in round number 1 to kind of flip off their in-division rival here with the Buccaneers. So we ended up getting Michael Penix. English is hard today. So we got Michael Penix. At this point, defensive interior is a position I would be willing to look at. The options that are available, you got Rook here, who could be super intriguing as a potential hybrid edge rusher as well. I do like that quite a bit. And he is my number 32 player in the class. Very tempted. Very tempted. However, I've been wanting to get this guy to go earlier, and the safety class is pretty damn limited. We're going to be going Kalen Bullock out of USC. He's an incredible player, just gets zero spotlight. I should be probably making a video, maybe it comes out this week, maybe next, based on the players who really the most underrated players, the ones who don't get any form of publicity. This is one of them. Kalen Bullock's a really talented safety, and he's pretty solid on people's boards, but I just don't hear anything about him. Anything. Really good player, well deserving of being taken here. I mean, hell, where do I have him on my board? Like, looking at it, where do I have him on my board? That's kind of weird. I kind of forgot where I had him, but we'll check that out as time progresses, or you guys can call it out. I'm not going to spend time during the video laboring over where to put him. Or did I say he returned? I think I took him off my board. That's who it is. I've been trying to figure this out this whole time. Regardless, at pick number 48, for me, the New York Giants ended up getting Bo Nix, Troy Franklin. We need to address the defense or the offensive line. One of the two. We do have Christian Haynes here. And y'all know how much I love Christian Haynes. He's a number 12 player on my board. Like, this is the team I like sending Christian Haynes to. Edge rusher with Chris Braswell would be really good too, but I think we can wait. I really need this guy to go off the board earlier. We're going to go Christian Haynes out of Connecticut, revamp that offense entirely. At pick number 49, the Los Angeles Rams are on the board. And first round, we went after Jared Verse, which is honestly, I feel like that's just going to be a Rams move. Pairing him up there with Byron Young is ridiculous value. Troy Fautanu is hard to pass on. He could potentially play tackle. We already know he can easily play offensive line anywhere. So I like that versatility. He is a top 32 player on my board, and I think he deserves to get the respect of a top 32 player. So we're going to be going Troy Fautanu out of Washington, back-to-back second rounds with interior offensive linemen. At pick number 50, we are back with Green Bay. We've traded back a couple times, and this is where we might see the first running back go. It's so tough. Honestly, this team is just impossible to draft for. Just because of the fact that y'all don't really have massive issues. Like, I don't really see that being a big issue. You could go Jackson Powers Johnson at this point because he's so much better than what you already have. And, I know that Josh Myers has one more year on his contract, but you could kind of rewrite the wrong by drafting a higher level interior offensive lineman here. If you're not going to play Sean Ryan, I mean, you might as well at least play Jackson Powers Johnson for a year at guard before kicking him to center. Like, right? You're going to potentially take him before the Bears take him. You know what? Screw the Bears. Even though I'm partially a Bears fan. Well, I am a Bears and Steelers fan. But I'm actually screwing the Bears over here. Jackson Powers Johnson will be an upgrade at the center in the long run, but will be an upgrade at guard in the short because your organization just doesn't like Sean Ryan that much. Beats me. At pick number 51, Chicago. This is via the Justin Fields trade. I think that edge rusher is the right move at this point. We have drafted Keon Coleman and Caleb Williams. Center would have been great with Jackson Powers Johnson on the board. Corner is kind of sneaky with Dwight McLaughlin still available, as well as Josh Newton and TJ Tampa. Deep down inside, I keep wanting to see him on the board, but Dwight is just not on the board. So looking at the best choices here, I think it's the edge room. The defense has been super solid, but there's no reason to stop getting better. And, Princely Umanmielen or Chris Braswell are going to be a very nice combination there with Montez Sweat. I think Princely is better than Chris Braswell. I just do. I think his upside is better. I think he needs to be a little bit more consistent and be a little bit more athletic. Jonah Ellis, he's the best edge rusher, but he's super small at 246. So we're going to be going Princely Umanmielen here for the Chicago Bears. Pick number 52, back with the Green Bay Packers. We have selected both Cooper DeJean and Jackson Powers Johnson. So some big key players on both sides of the ball. I could see them going after a corner. It could. Wide receiver, again, not really. Like, I'm starting to be a little bit thinner on the wide receiver room at the moment, especially for the wide receiver that I would want for the Packers, which is more of a possession guy. Looking at the best choice, again, running back is just kind of where I'm feeling it today. And I've gone Trey Benson for y'all a lot. I don't think Jonathan Brooks comes out. Don't know why he's ranked 60 after an ACL tear. Doesn't really feel like the right thing to do. Braylon Allen is going to be my Thunder in the next round, so I want to get Lightning now. And, the best option for Lightning is Marshawn Lloyd, and I doubt he goes here because he has fumble issues. Again, very difficult team to draft for. Could see them actually opting for a corner as well. Defensive interior at this point, you could just add another guy into that rotation. I love Carl Brooks. Doesn't mean you can't get better. You know what? I don't think I'm going to do something weird with this team. I'm going to get future draft capital. I'm going to have a team move up for a player that deserves to get taken because I think that's the right move. Well, there's not enough players for Green Bay to properly improve. And when it feels like that, the right thing to do is just get the hell out of there. You're looking at Jermaine Burton being an elite player here, Xavier Worthy being a top-end receiver. In terms of the offensive tackles, there's not much here except Karan Amajaje. And I doubt that a team's going to spend a future second to move up at this point. Josh Newton, he's really good. Dwight McLaughlin as well, but that might push down the value of that. So looking at the best players, I could see Chris Braswell, Jonah Ellis being worth moving up for. Yeah, I need to get somebody off the board here. We need to get somebody off the board. And who is that going to be? Who is it based on my board? It's Dwight McGlothern. I'm not going to have him go so early. And then most of these are just kind of my favorite players at the moment. This is also a live mock draft, hence why the struggle is real. You know what? I think a corner needs to go. A corner needs to go. And we're going to leverage this pick with a team that should be looking for a corner, a team that probably is trying to win now. And I'm looking at the Niners here, and I do think that they should be going after a top-end corner. They won't really have much of an option when the time comes. I'm also looking at the Cardinals, but we've already selected one for the Cardinals in Terry and Arnold. The Bears could be, if you want to really get sneaky and do an in-division trade, could do that as well. At this pick, the Ravens could be a good team to move up into this range. You know what? We're going to try it. The Ravens are moving up. Moving on up. We are going to be having the Ravens move into this range. And what we are going to be doing is taking a future third-round pick. Like, that's what we want to do. We're going to be moving back, and we're going to be continuing to acquire future thirds. I mean, what I could do is have a second and then offer like a future fourth-round pick or a future third into this equation and basically have this be a massive move up for them. You know what? Let's try it. Why not? No balls. No balls, no babies, as what Mark Cuban says. But the Ravens have moved up because I do think they need a defensive back. I love B. Steve because, again, I'm an SMU kid, so pony up. But TJ Tampa is too good to pass on. This guy's a bona fide veteran. I mean, to be fair, Quinion Mitchell would have been a good choice as well. But ultimately, you can't go wrong with the beast himself. And pick number 53 for the Minnesota Vikings. So we've missed out on quarterback pretty much entirely. We ended up getting Leatu Latu, which is a great get at this point. Looking at the choices available, I think running back with Trey Benson fits perfectly. You want a 3-down back, and the value is just spot on. At pick number 54 for the Indianapolis Colts, you could look at edge for them. I think defensive interior certainly is the right move, but we can wait on McKinley Jackson because I just don't think he'll be going in this range. Josh Newton, adding him to Jalen Jones in the squad could be probably the best thing you can do. Double checking what we did in the first round, we got Xavier Legette to be a strong 2, and I like that a lot. Let's go Josh Newton here at a TCU. At pick number 55 for the Steelers, we're going to be opting for a linebacker at this pick, and that linebacker is going to be my number 1 linebacker in the class, Junior Colson. We're going back to Michigan, but instead of going for a 5'10 dude, we're going for a 6'3 dude. Instead of going for someone who's 230, we're going for someone who's 250. Junior Colson going to be our true Mike linebacker. At pick number 56, we still have a top 32 player on the board right now at corner. I technically took Josh Newton, who I have a little bit lower, but I do think he'll go before Dwight McGlothern. I want to find a team that will be looking for a top-tier corner. Looking at the Eagles, could certainly see it, but you have too many corners on roster for me to feel comfortable with that. Naturally, I'm not really liking much of this. You know what? I could see a trade coming in here. You know what? I really like the idea of the Giants trading away Evan Neal to a team that needs... There's the trade. Okay. I have a trade coming up in the future. We're going to be excited for this one. Cleveland Browns, we need wide receiver help. I'm actually going to opt for Jermaine Burton over Xavier Worthy here just because I think he's a little bit more versatile. Can't go wrong with either. I've already gone Xavier Worthy multiple times. I want to show some love to somebody who I have in my top 32 with Jermaine. I have a big trade that's coming up that I think y'all would appreciate a lot. At pick number 57 for the Kansas City Chiefs, we have went after a wide receiver in A.D. Mitchell in round number 1. At this selection, we are going to be going Rook Arroyo, my number 32 player in the class. Very versatile, high upside, extreme athlete at defensive interior who can also play some edge reps. At pick number 58 for the Denver Broncos, we ended up opting for, I believe, a corner, right? Did we get Nate Wiggins? Oh, man. We got Nate Wiggins in the first. That's wild. Let's get Xavier Worthy here. Why not? Get a good deep threat there. Pair him up with Marvin Mims. Again, making a thinner receiver core, but you take what you can get. When you have bigger options, then you could start debating. Xavier Worthy is a great option for this team, and now you're going to have just a ridiculous amount of speed. At pick number 59 for the Dallas Cowboys, we ended up going Chop Robinson in round number 1. Just kidding. Kingsley Suamataia, tackle out of BYU, disarming both franchises and the Eagles as well as the Niners from getting their best potential player. I think the Cowboys, if a Mike linebacker were available, would be my choice. Other positions I could see, you could look at wide receiver for him. I think linebacker is that big of an issue to where I would be willing to look into the linebacking core. Oh, Michael Barrett is a really good one. I think both Michigan linebackers deserve respect. He's just a little bit on the shorter side. Michael Barrett is a beast. He is a beast. Like, I would be potentially willing to take him here for the Cowboys, but I actually want to look at some interior offensive linemen. Fun fact, Seth McLaughlin dated one of my friends, so shout out to him, because we're gonna get past that. Cedric Van Pran's gonna be the pick here. I think getting a quality center is the right move for the Cowboys. Now they have drafted 2 offensive linemen, which is kind of exactly what we need to do. The rest of the team is doing really well. Just get the basics right. At pick number 60 for the Detroit Lions, I could see them going offensive line here. Defensive interior is a great route as well. We moved up for Kool-Aid McKinstry and used one of our 3rd-round picks for it, so corner is already addressed. However, we got Chris Braswell here. Why not add him to our nasty edge rush group? To be fair, it does need help. So we're going to make it nasty with Chris Braswell, pairing him up with Aiden Hutchinson. At pick number 61 for the San Francisco 49ers, we're going a corner. And I talked about Quinion Mitchell. I still have my number 20 player or 21 player in the class in Dwight McGlothern here, but Quinion Mitchell is going before him. Over 12 pass breakups on the year. He's been an absolute ball hawk, and he's honestly my favorite pick to the Niners. I hate to say it, also to the Ravens. So Quinion Mitchell going to be the pick here. Ended up drafting Jordan Morgan in the 1st, but the Niners end up selecting Quinion Mitchell. This is the pick. This is the trade. The Green Bay Packers are trading with where are you at? New York Giants. And it's not what you think. We are going to be trading the 62nd pick for pick 107 and a left tackle. We didn't get one in the 1st. We didn't get one here. We're bringing in Evan Neal. And the Giants are adding some much needed draft capital. We're moving up with the Giants. And the Packers, again, one of your holes is tackle. Left tackle, to be specific. Move Evan Neal there and give him a new shot. For the Giants, we've already been drafting offensive linemen. This is the right thing to do. At pick number 62, I might just draft Jonah Ellis at this point. Other players of note, we could actually draft Karan Amajaje and train him to be a right tackle. Now, that does sound very scary for a team that, is having, just traded away a raw, high upside offensive tackle that was a left tackle and moved him to right. It wouldn't be a bad idea, though. I do like it. Let's address that edge position, though, because I think edge 2 should be at least investigated. We'll go Jonah Ellis. He's on the smaller side. That is a bit of a concern to me, but this is essentially a free selection for us at the moment. And you know what? I'm looking at it, and I'd be super fine with being able to draft another edge rusher at 71. I'm going to take the swing on Karan Amajaje. I'm going to take the swing on him because I know I'm going to send his ass to Philly. That's what I'm going to do. I know exactly what I'm going to do. And that's going to be an unbelievable pick for Philly. Philly, I think they actually drafted, what's his name? Tyler Guyton. Actually, okay, to be fair, I just crossed over myself. But to be fair, I actually have a couple teams that would have taken Karan before. I know I'm going to get a good edge rusher at the next pick. I was going to say screw Philly, which, again, still screw Philly. But I probably would have taken him here with the Dolphins as well. The Dolphins, we ended up getting Cam Kitchens. Yeah, this would have been the Dolphins pick. So had to move up for it anyways, so it also makes sense there. But the Dolphins now scrambling without Karan Amajaje on the board. It could go Patrick Paul. It's a little bit up in the air. Again, Amarius Mims is returning in this. I think that the best option for me, mm, we just need to get the best offensive lineman. I think Patrick Paul, even though he's not athletically gifted, is probably the best bang for your buck. He's going to be a consistent backup tackle at the very worst, and with injuries, not a bad idea. Patrick Paul is the selection here. The Philadelphia Eagles, we've drafted Tyler Guyton, and then we've also drafted, double checking, we also drafted JT Tuimoloau. So at this point, we've gotten our edge rusher. We have gotten our tackle of the future. I think linebacker, probably the right way to go. I'm going to have Danny Stutzman return in this because I do think that there's a lot of momentum for him returning. Michael Barrett might be the dude. He's short, but he's 240, so he could actually play a legitimate role. He's an incredible player, and honestly, I want to feature him more because of the fact that he pops off. I mean, like, look at that. Look at that ascension of his grade. I don't even care about his grade. I'm talking about my eyes see Michael Barrett, and I'm like, ooh, this guy's good. We're going to go Michael Barrett for the Philadelphia Eagles. Both Michigan linebackers will be the first ones to come off the board. Oh no, what happens to Jeremiah Trotter? Okay, Jeremiah Trotter, yes, he has relations to the Eagles. But are you going to go for another will linebacker who's 6 foot 230? No. At least you get 240, someone who could play in the middle. Jeremiah Trotter is a smart man, but he's not super athletically gifted. Michael Barrett is an all-around elite linebacker. And honestly, we could always use a second one. So if it opens up, we'll have Jeremiah Trotter for us later. At pick number 65 for the Carolina Panthers, because now we're continuing to round 3. I think offensive tackle, if there is one available, Mari Smith's returning. Dominic Puny is okay, but I'm not taking him at 65. Hell no. Jonah Ellis is the guy who I kind of want for this team and just gain some extra edge rush help. This team needs help. It needs a lot of help. I could look at another wide receiver here. Ladd McConkey could end up pairing. Did I end up getting Johnny? Dude, that would be a good combination. Johnny and Ladd McConkey would be kind of ridiculous. Other weapons of note, I actually really like Ricky Pearsall. Could be a sneaky one for us down the line. Other positions I would potentially target. Yeah, I mean, edge rusher, you're getting the best value here with Jonah Ellis. Let's get Jonah. Let's just do it. You're getting a proper value. It's just BPA. And getting BPA is the right thing to do. I was not a huge fan of the Oregon edge rusher you selected last year in the 3rd round. So that's probably why I'm pretty open to drafting a different edge rusher now. At pick number 66 for the Patriots, we ended up selecting Brian Thomas as well as Drake Maye. Again, the tackles are kind of abysmal at the moment, which really sucks, but it is what it is. And I should have known, since I know myself so well, that I would have drafted him. So, again, that's kind of on me. But I'm looking potentially to move back here. There's some really good linebackers on the board. There's also, wide receiver-wise, it's really limited. I don't want to take Tez Walker here as well. So I do feel like this is the right opportunity to move out of this spot. You do got Landon Jackson here. We also have a top 32 player. We have 2 of them. We have Xavier Thomas and Dwight McLaughlin still. I'm going to move up with a team that might be in the mood for a corner. Or, to be fair, I could do that with the Cardinals. Could do that. But I'm actually going to move up with the Seahawks because Seahawks have a lot of picks. We ended up moving back. They end up having 3 of these picks here. So we're going to end up trading, I believe 116 should be proper value. Maybe you end up doing 153 in a future 4. Who cares? Maybe like we do a 4th and a 5th round swap. Do your own negotiating. We're going to trade this through. So Seattle moves up to select their guy. I think Edgerrin Cooper is super well all around, super well balanced. Jeremiah Trotter could be the better player, but I'm going to go after the one with a little bit more upside in Edgerrin Cooper. At pick 67 for the Cardinals, this is actually going to be my number 20 player in the draft. I'm going to let Shaw Smith-Wade get an ADP boost. He's not listed, but it is Dwight McLaughlin out of Arkansas. At pick number 68, probably would have also been Dwight if they had the opportunity. We have the Commanders who are finally back. So after pretty much taking out the majority of your draft capital, we have ended up doing a pretty damn good job revamping the team. Olu Fashanu, Chop Robinson, as well as Braylon Trice. It's a killer group. It is a killer group. Now I'm looking at the linebacking core again, having Danny Stutzman return in this. because I just think that's the right thing to do. I would have taken him earlier. Jeremiah Trotter, Barrett Carter, super exciting. I love Peyton Wilson. I might be willing to take the injury history and just deal with it for probably the best talented linebacker on the board. We're going to go Peyton Wilson here out of NC State. At pick 69, the Bears. What's a nice pick we could do for the Bears? Or can we do a nice trade? Looking at my next best player, it is Xavier Thomas. We've already drafted an edge rusher in Princely Umanmielen for the Bears, so unfortunately we can't get that nice. Could move up with the Cardinals, but again, they could also use the help. I would be willing to move down with the Bears for the right team who is looking for somebody of the talent level of Xavier Thomas. We didn't even get an edge rusher with the Giants yet. That's a perfect opportunity. It's a short range trade. We're able to still, get the right amount of draft capital out of it. And you know what? This is going to be a super inexpensive trade. That 5th round pick from Seattle right there, that is going to be what sets the deal through. Super small range. It's a way that the Bears continue to get some future capital here. And the Giants move up for their edge rusher, Xavier Thomas out of Clemson. I don't know why he's not featured, but we're going to let ZTF experience the ADP boost. It is Xavier Thomas, my number 26 player, edge out of Clemson. At pick number 70 for the New York Jets, we had drafted an offensive tackle in round number 1. And that offensive tackle is Joe Alt. Love that. At this selection, I am going to draft Joe Milton, high upside quarterback out of Tennessee. It's just the perfect value for somebody who really has that explosiveness to his arm. It's the right value for him. I would take it, see what happens. If you can have someone who could throw 90 yards and have him trained up by Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, just see what happens. Just see what happens. Worst case scenario, you blow a 3rd round pick. And I think it's worth taking that swing. So we're back with the Bears, and we have so far drafted edge rusher, quarterback, as well as wide receiver. Now is the right time to go after an interior offensive lineman. Looking at the best centers available, it is down to Zach Frazier. And finally, Bo Limmer is listed. Y'all know I love Bo. He's my number 44 player in the class. We're going to be going Bo Limmer out of Arkansas. At pick number 72, we have the Arizona Cardinals. And we have gone after Dwight McLaughlin. We have gone after, did we go Terrion Arnold for this team? Oh, I love that pick. Terrion Arnold. We've gone after Tavondre Sweat. We've also gone after Marvin Harrison Jr. So, wide receiver, 2 corners, defensive interior. That's a good way to go. And at this pick, I want to focus a little bit more on the offense by drafting a high upside left guard in Donovan Jackson. We're going to have that instant chemistry there with Paris Johnson. That's going to be how you build an offensive line for the future. Also, both their contracts will now be in sync because the 3rd round pick has 1 less year than a 1st. So that'd be kind of cool as well. Pick number 73 for the New England Patriots. This team seems like one that would be open to drafting Landon Jackson, but we're not going to do that. I don't think edge rusher is that big of an issue for the Patriots. I don't. Still wanting to get Dominic Puny potentially a chance here. He is going to be there at the Senior Bowl. And Bill loves his Senior Bowl tackles. Blake Fisher might be worth it as well. I do like Blake Fisher. I think the potential's there. I'm going to go Blake Fisher for the New England Patriots. I think that's the right move. At pick number 74 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we've gone tight end. And what did we also do for him last round? Did we go after an edge rusher for him? Did we trade? Where the hell is my Tampa Bay pick? Hello. We went Graham Barton. There we go. Jeepers. Going blind. So we've gone tight end. We've gone tackle. We need to go defense. And looking at the options available, Landon Jackson could be worth taking to have a much bigger run-stuffing edge rusher. Ton of upside, by the way. I do think linebacker is probably going to be in their short list of items. And I think Barrett Carter, with the versatility and the athleticism he has, would be great to replace Devin White. A little bit on the smaller side, for sure. So watch out for that. But Barrett Carter is just going to be a ridiculous athlete. Well worth the swing of the pick. Raiders at this selection. Landon Jackson would essentially be what you already have. Do kind of want Landon Jackson to go. We do have a lot of running backs on the board. And to be fair, this is one of those teams that could totally use one of those running backs. The linebackers that are still available, really like Cedric Gray. Big fan. Where is he at? Oh, Curtis Jacobs down here. Kind of sad that he's so far down. I think that he's worth, honestly, a second-round pick. Could wait, but we could also just grab Jeremiah Trotter and see what happens here. And I think I'm going to do that. Let's go Jeremiah Trotter Jr. At pick 76 for the Los Angeles Chargers, we've already selected a boundary cornerback for them in Kamari Lassiter. And we've also already drafted Jerzon Johnny Newton, defensive interior, as well as boundary corner. With this selection, I'm having a hard time not selecting Ladd McConkey. I think that's a good choice. To be fair, I also think that you can look at Marshawn Lloyd and keep him in LA, and he could be that lightning on their ground game. It's a lot of good choices here. And I think I'm going to go after Marshawn Lloyd. He is the highest upside of all the running backs in the draft. He does. He just needs to stop fumbling. That's his big issue. At pick 77 for the Cincinnati Bengals, they have gone after a tight end in Jatavian Sanders, and they've also gone after a right tackle in Talise Fuaga. So with the 77th overall pick, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to go Ladd McConkey to play slot over in the absence of Tyler Boyd. It's just worth it at this point to get someone with that type of upside. At pick number 78, Green Bay Packers. We have traded back 1 billion times. And now we still have no idea what the hell is going to go on. But I do think that Braylon Allen fits this team to a T. And there's no other team that I would want Braylon Allen to go to than the Green Bay Packers. So he's going to stay in the North and go to Green Bay. Pick number 79 for the Denver Broncos. I'm having a hard time saying no to Landon Jackson. The upside's ridiculous. You pair him back up with his former linebacker that you selected last year in the 3rd round in Drew Sanders. I think it's worth it. We ended up moving back and selecting Nate Wiggins. And what did we select earlier? Did we select a wide receiver? I think we selected a wide receiver and Xavier Worthy. Even better. So now you get Landon Jackson too. So you got that instant chemistry there with his linebacker who's going to be there for the future. That's going to be great. 6'7", 270. Ridiculous. At pick number 80 for the Seattle Seahawks, we have drafted a quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. We have also drafted a linebacker in Edgerrin Cooper. Now looking at it, I think we should get a defensive interior at this point. And you got Byron Murphy here, who's a beast. You got McKinley, you got Mackay, you got Brandon. Like, all these guys are very talented defensive interior linemen. I want to go for the one with probably the best balance of size, speed, etc. And that's going to be Byron Murphy II. Would not be surprised if he ends up going back to school. But if that were the case, I'd probably opt for Mason Smith. He goes back to school, then I'd be opting for McKinley Jackson. At pick number 81 for the Los Angeles Rams, we've drafted Jared Verse so far, and then we have also gone after Troy Fautanu. So 2 really good players who fell, both top 32 on my board. Looking if there's anybody else top 32 on my board. Did I actually draft everybody? That is awesome. I usually have some dude who's just like falling, and we do not have that today, which is great. So the Rams, what can we do for you? Offensive line, we could still go back to it, but I don't really feel like that's going to be our best bang for our buck. Defensive interior is where it's at. Let's go Mason Smith here. Mason Smith out of LSU, 310 pounds. He's going to need some mentorship. Why not put him with Aaron Donald, who, if he retires, then he could still be a kind of a mentor, and Kobe Turner. At pick number 82 for the Arizona Cardinals, we've gone 2 DBs. We've gone a wide receiver, and we've gone a guard and a defensive interior. So at this point, I could still go defensive interior here with Brandon Dorless because we have the size. Now we can have a little bit more of the finesse. And I do like that. Tyleik Williams, another sneaky option at 290. I could go a linebacker here. You know, the ones that are left on the board. I don't know enough about Maurice Liafu, and I should, so I'll take that on the chin. But I definitely like Curtis Jacobs. He's 6'1", 240. Like, genuinely one of the better linebackers, very underrated. And I think I've done that for this team before, but I'm going to do it again. We're going to go Curtis Jacobs here out of Penn State. He is, where is he at on my board? 55. I really like him. At pick number 83 for the Atlanta Falcons, we have Justin Fields. Yes, you heard that right. We got Justin Fields. which is why we didn't have a second round pick. And then we also went after Emeka Egbuka. So at this point, I very well might want to go Brandon Dorless and potentially use him as an edge rusher. Maybe make him slim down, slim shady type stuff. Or we can go Jack Sawyer and pair him back up with the edge rusher that you already have from Ohio State and Zach Harrison. Wouldn't be an awful idea. He needs more time to develop, but he's going to be a day one run defender. And I do like that. You're going to have that good impact there. I could see another safety being a good option, but Jack Sawyer is going to be worth it. Again, if there's a lot of people who you think should be taken, most likely I'm electing to have them stay in school based on this mock draft. At pick number 84, hard to pass on McKinley Jackson at this point. I'm actually going to make a small move up here with the Indianapolis Colts. So we're just going to continue adding future draft capital here for the Packers. It might take a future fifth, might take a future sixth. I don't know what it actually properly takes, but what we do know is that we're getting a nose tackle in McKinley Jackson. Double checking to make sure that I haven't already drafted one. No, I got Josh Newton as well as Xavier Legette in the first round. So we do love that. McKinley Jackson is the choice. At pick number 85 for the Seattle Seahawks, they got Byron Murphy. They got J.J. McCarthy. You also have Edgerrin Cooper. So you drafted the majority of what you need. Now, I would be open, honestly, to selecting Javon Bullard here. I honestly think he should return. But that left guard spot still could be filled out. And there's a player who should be going very, very soon, and that's Cooper Beebe. Let's get him to be the future at left guard. Why not? The value's too good. At pick number 86, back with the Green Bay Packers, I honestly am going to take Javon Bullard at this point. It's BPA. I know that you have two well-performing safeties at the moment, but Javon Bullard is too good of a freak to pass on. You have him and Cooper DeJean. To be fair, I think they're pretty complementary as well, and you're going to have a really good dynamic high upside duo there. Yes, you have Ford there. He's playing well, but Javon Bullard is better in my opinion, and if he's not, trade him to the Eagles who want another Georgia player. Just going to be honest. At pick number 87 for the Steelers, we have drafted a linebacker as well as a defensive back, Kalen King, as well as Junior Colson. I usually opt for a center here. I want to change things up a little bit. I think center is a huge need for us, and I think we should address it for sure. I want to look at some other options before I instantly just go by muscle memory and select it. Wide receiver, I actually believe that down the board, Jacob Cowing is an unbelievable addition. Should be on our board as well. Looking at the tackles, Dominic Puny is within striking range, and it wouldn't be an awful choice. The other offensive linemen that are available, I actually really like Drake Nugent. I might take him above Zach Frazier. I could take him for us too. The dude's been locked down, transferred from Stanford. Safety-wise, though, he just declared James Williams could be a really good addition for us, and he could work as a box linebacker. I'm going to take that solely to change things up. But again, it is a big need. So James Williams is going to be a massive addition on our team. I thought he could be a top 10 player, but he needs to be a day 2 pick. Also might have been my selection here for the Browns. I think Brandon Dorless will be the guy who I substitute instead. A high upside pass rusher, just kind of BPA, too good to pass on. Did we go wide receiver from him earlier? I think we did with Jermaine Burton. Beautiful. At pick number 89 for the Chiefs, we have already gone wide receiver at A.D. Mitchell, and we gone Rukaroro. I don't think that it's off the table, and I would love to hear more from you guys about this for going after Mekhi Wingo as well. Like 2 defensive interiors doesn't seem out of pocket, but looking at some other positions I'd be open to targeting, I would be looking potentially for a future at tight end. Luke Lackey, not a bad player. I really like Jaheim Bell in this system, though. You're going to be getting someone who is more so built to be, well, Trey Knox, by the way, super underrated. Dude just has drop issues, so maybe that's my thing. Drop issues are just kind of one of my stereotypical things that I love about weapons, but Trey Knox is, like, if you're wanting to snipe a good tight end down the board, Trey Knox is probably your guy. I'm going to go Jaheim Bell here. I don't know why he's getting this much hate. Genuinely one of the better players after the catch in the tight end position, and I think that's what the Chiefs should be looking to value. At pick number 90 for Jacksonville, So we ended up moving up, and so we actually ended up, I think, reacquiring, or oh, this is just compensatory pick. We ended up using our second round pick in a trade up for all roads lead to Rome Odunze. So that's great. We ended up getting an elite wide receiver, and I think that's what this team is really lacking, especially if they don't end up re-signing Calvin Ridley, which, depends if you want to give up a future second or not. So looking at the possible options for this team, I do think that an athletic offensive lineman could be a good addition at this point. Looking at somebody like Zach Zinter or Drake Nugent primarily, I don't really have any other off the menu often or players on the board. Like, you got Javon Foster here, who actually could be a really good get for a team at this point in the draft. Besides that, I could look at maybe a safety at this point. I'm not a huge fan of the guys who are available. Corner, Max Melton's in here. Could look at that. Chris Abrams-Drain's actually a really good player too. But I feel like this team actually needs to reacquire extra draft capital. I'm not seeing the value here for them, but you still have some really good running backs on the board. You still have some solid offensive linemen, some centers that I would be open to. I actually think Drake Nugent's a good player for this team, and he has center versatility. Let's go Drake Nugent. Let's do it. For the Cowboys, we have already selected a center in Cedric Van Pran, and we've selected a left tackle. So let's try to maybe get some future at safety, maybe another defensive interior. You got Makai Wingo here, and you can pair him up with Osa Odigizua. I do like that. Getting two penetrators on the interior. Tyleik Williams is a really good addition as well. That might be the best move you can make. Linebacker, though, I don't think we got one earlier. So Tommy Eichenberg is actually a really solid value player at this point. Pair him up there with the Marvin, who comes back. Overall, linebacking core could use some help. So Tommy Eichenberg is going to be a welcomed addition. Detroit, you got Kool-Aid McKinstry as well as Chris Braswell. Those are kind of like the dynamic duo at this point. Makai Wingo is exactly what you were looking for value-wise in the first round last year with why am I forgetting his name? Kalijah Cansey. So let's get him this year. Let's go. Makai Wingo is the selection. Niners, I would honestly try to start trading back with this team. We've gone offensive tackle Jordan Morgan and Quinyon Mitchell at corner. So for the Niners, again, not a team that really needs very much. You could look for maybe another developmental tackle like Dominic Puny at this point. I feel like that is the proper value. Could go after an interior offensive lineman here, like Zach Frazier or Christian Mahogany. Mahogany does look good in silver and cardinal. He does look good. So it would look good in your uniforms. That's what I'm trying to get at. I might actually trade this pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I don't really think need that much. Pick 117 as well. Gotta love that. We could wait a little bit, but I'm looking at some teams. Some of them might want to look for a center. And actually, not many of the teams would want to look for a center. If I'm going to be honest, I think I could wait. We're going to wait because I don't think the Steelers want to give up that much draft capital. So I think the Niners are going to be SOL in terms of finding a trade partner. But I do think if we could find a very good will linebacker for this team, or a Sam linebacker, excuse me, that wouldn't be a bad idea. And I'd love to see them deploy Tyron Hopper as a blitzer. I don't know if I've done this before, but it's a kind of a pick I'm really liking to see. 94 for the Ravens. We are going to be going after a running back for them in Bucky Irving. The value is just too damn good. They don't need a running back, but hell, when you can get one like that, you take it. At pick number 95 for the Houston Texans, we have gone pretty much all defense so far. Started out with an edge rusher in Dallas Turner. Then we got Chris Jenkins as well. Finally, we are, all the way back here thanks to Philly because we had to use one of those picks in a trade up. So for me, looking at what this team could be looking for, wide receiver and tight end are going to be the best value. And man, I don't really like the options available. I'm just going to be completely blunt. I just not fully there except Jacob Cowing, which I think this is one of the few teams where I don't think Jacob Cowing offers much. So unfortunately, I think we should trade out of this spot, especially for a team that could be looking for a Jacob Cowing because he is literally top 45 on my board. He's number 45. So technically top 45. So let's look through the teams that could use him. Who's looking for a smaller but very versatile weapon? I mean, again, we could look at the Steelers, but I'm already trying to trade up with them with a later pick for a center. We could try to see if the Seahawks are down to dance. But the Falcons, actually, the Falcons would not be a bad choice. They got Jack Sawyer, and then you got Mecca Ibuka to play on the boundary. I think that's a good way to get proper value on this team. The talent does drop off a non-insignificant amount. Of course, this is going to be in the same range as the Steelers trade, but I feel like this team has the draft capital to make up for it. We're going to send 119 and 132 to the Texans. I just don't feel like the value is there for them, so why not continue boosting the overall draft capital going forward? So this is going to be Jacob Cowing going to the Atlanta Falcons. At pick number 96 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, we got Drake Nugent earlier. This pick, again, another team, like we've already drafted wide receiver in Romo Dunze, now also an athletic offensive interior. I might see the best value as a depth edge rusher here in Adisa Isaac, super smart player. So the Jaguars at 96 go Adisa Isaac. At pick number 97, the Eagles are back. They have drafted the, what's his name, Barrett out of Michigan. I'm forgetting his first name. Michael Barrett, linebacker out of Michigan, as well as right tackle Tyler Guyton, as well as JT Tuimoloau. So got most of the issues fixed up. At this point, let's just try to find a receiver that has some speed. And Trey Harris could be that guy who I like. Jamari Thrash, not a bad choice at this point. I want to look one more time at the linebackers. I'm having Danny Stutzman return. Cedric Gray's not bad. Honestly, the value of Cedric Gray, because y'all need multiple linebackers. You're having Shaq Leonard on there. I doubt he's going to be a multi-year sign. And even if you do, God help you. This is going to be Cedric Gray. We're going to take Cedric Gray here. The Niners are going to trade with the Steelers for this pick. I'm done picking for the Niners. And Pittsburgh, this is going to be proper value for us to send. Potentially a future fourth, but I'll have it be a future fifth. Maybe we could send another compensatory pick in there as well. You know what? No, it should be a future fourth. We're going to send a future fourth for this. The Steelers are moving up to select Zach Frazier. It's a massive need. You have to be able to go balls to the wall when you need to be. With the Bills, we have drafted Tyler Nubin as well as star wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. So I don't think we've drafted anything else. Yes, because we ended up having a move up. What's up with that third round pick? This was part of the, okay, I get why. It's part of the trade for Rasul Douglas. So looking at the players that are available, and we want to end this mock draft somewhat soon. We're already past the 1 hour mark. Hello. I'm going to go Blake Corum. Actually, no, I'm going to go Audric Estime, power back out of Notre Dame. He's going to be that future back for him, and hopefully he can pair very well with Dalvin Cook's brother, James Cook. At pick number 100 for the Miami Dolphins. It's another team. I just do not know what to draft for him. I could try to get another wide receiver, but I've done that a billion times. I don't like it. We are going to trade out of this pick. It's just the value's not good. When the value's not good, the value's not good. You got Christian Mahogany here, who I think should go. RIP to Zach Centerman. But Javon Foster's on the board. I actually really like the Javon Foster pick here. We drafted Patrick Paul earlier. I think this team could be perfectly fine taking on 2 tackles. I think that is perfectly fine. We end up taking Cam Kitchens as well. This is going to be Javon Foster. You know what, Dolphins fans? You don't get traded out at the end. That is going to be the end of the draft. Pick 100, Dolphins go. Javon Foster. So that is going to be the video. I love Javon Foster. Love giving him the love when deserved. So that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the show as always. See you on the far side. Peace.